Hey Jamal, hey Ashley. Thanks for joining us.
Just leave it alone.
Hey, how's it going?
Just leave it alone. So Matt, what y'all want to know about mine? Where's it going? Little place, but. You are naturally listening.
We'll give it another few minutes before we get started here, so hang tight. Grab your drink of choice, snack of choice, West Coast, breakfast
That's exactly
of choice.
what your letters say.
And we'll get going here soon.
Finished projects. Yeah, you're a finisher. People are late. I'm going to introduce you and we're going to get going.
Great.
Tell us when we're ready.
You're ready?
Okay. We're live? Are we live? Tap, tap the mic. Tap, tap. All right. We're live. Yay. Hello, friend. Hello, friend. Long time no see. Okay, so everybody here, welcome, welcome. I am very excited today because my friend, Miss Anna Powell, and I have been geeking out on the 6 Working Genius. But what's cool is Terry in our office, our operations manager, brought this to me. And she kind of said, you know, we've done all these assessments, we've done DISC, we've done Enneagram, we've done the Berkman, we've done everything, because as leadership, we have to be self-aware. We have to start with ourselves first. And so when Terry brought this, I immediately just fell in love with it, because I could see even a deeper understanding of human nature. And I called Anna and I'm like, Anna, I was asked to speak in San Diego and I've got this thing, and we found out that she's been doing this for way longer with her team, geeked out over it way before me, and she explains it so much better. So, no, you do. And so I'm excited today that she's willing to come to our group. This is what Freedom Builders is all about, and EXP. We collaborate and we grow because all of us have goals and dreams. And the goal of this community is to shorten the gaps and the speed bumps and get there faster. So if you're running a team or your family unit even, this applies. So Anna, welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to sit down there and you're going to take over.
Thanks.
I'm so excited.
We didn't plan this intro, but you literally had two perfect pieces that I'm going straight into.
Oh, what are they?
One is that Tina's given me a lot. So when she called me and was like, have you heard about this Working Genius thing? I was like, I have. She's like, oh my gosh, and I was like, finally, I have something I can give to her, which when you learn my letters, you're going to realize why I was so excited about that.
Yeah.
And then my intro into myself, I'm going to talk a little bit about my theater background, because it's that self-aware piece, right, that a lot of us, you have to get it figured out. So I'm going to help you figure out where to get that so you can really do this efficiently.
Thank you.
So thanks. It's like you planned it.
It is. I planned it. I'm excited. Okay.
You can kick the slides, sir.
The floor is yours, my love.
So I just wanted to give you a little bit of my background. Sorry for my crude slides. I'm not a T. I don't finish things well, so I had to finish these up. I talked about my theater background because of what Tina just said, right? So like for me, it's really important that you have some self-awareness, and I know everyone thinks that they are, but I'm just like you did. I took all these things and I was like, this is who I am, yada, yada, yada. I'm really good at recognizing those things that maybe you're not there. So I wanted to give you a plug for some arts education. If you want a really good, like out of the box, like let me help do some professional development, go sign up for an improv class somewhere. Go like shadow or see if you can audit a class at one of the universities around. You know, when we talk about, I always give this example, like Leo DiCaprio, right? You see him on stage and all of a sudden within 3 minutes, he's not Leo DiCaprio anymore, or the previous characters that you've seen. He really comes into someone else. When you go see your, you know, nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever, go do the Wizard of Oz if you were even in high school, all you see are your grandkids in costumes very flat on stage. The reason why is Leo's really defined and figured out who he is, and he can get it out of the way to bring that character in. So that's why I mentioned the theater background. Some of this stuff sits well. You can get on the train a little bit faster if you're really self-aware about who you are, what your subconscious does, and theater training is a really good tool to get you there. So I always will plug for adult education in the theater arts because I think it's important. I want to give my example of my working genius and where it all failed. And if I would have had the system a few years ago, I could have made a really great moment in my life that now I look back and think, yeah, that was kind of a waste of my time. And that was the Beaufort History Museum. Beaufort, South Carolina, is down at the coast. It's been in the news recently for the Murdoch murders case. That's where we're talking about odd little part of the geography of the United States. But I moved down there and I wanted to get into the nonprofit sector and kind of start making my way into that community. I was an outsider, and I thought if I can just plug into a nonprofit somewhere, maybe I can get going, right? So I thought, oh, this is great. I'll go to this meeting for the History Museum and I'll volunteer and I'll work my way up. Within 2 weeks, someone came to me and said, would you like to serve on our board of directors? And I said, yippee, I did it. I'm in, I got it. So I sat on this board of directors with like the most dysfunctional people I had ever met, right? The 5 dysfunctions of a team, which is also another piece by Pat Lencioni, could have been written about this group of people. I got in there, immediately started dropping all these great ideas, immediately put this kick-ass docent program together. We had all these volunteers. It was so awesome. And I thought when I left that organization that they would erect a shrine of me in the middle of the museum. That's really, I mean, my husband says I'm obsessed with myself. Like in all fairness, I am very self-aware. But I really did. I was like, I saved this organization. Like, I'm the best, right? And they didn't. I left really pissed. They left pissed at me. We had volunteers walk out the door. No one was happy. And I thought, my gosh, why did I just spend 2 years in a failing organization? I gave up all this time. And I don't, like, what do I have to show for it? So that was kind of, I always remembered that. And I had a moment where I think I was starting to feel that again. It's kind of like you get into real estate, right? And like things aren't rolling and you're like, oh, why am I putting all this time to these clients? And then they don't even want to call me back and tell me they want to put an offer in. Why am I give? and I keep having bad results is what it felt like. So I had 2 big crucial findings in the last 9 months, year and a half, which is amazing. The first was coming over to EXP, Tina, the first thing she said was, you need to go read The Go-Giver. And I did, and finally I was like, oh, okay, it's okay to give, right? That was the first validation of like all this time and all these things I've poured into them. That is why I am successful. I may not have all the tangibles that say, because you did this, it led to this, and it led to that, but overall, right, because I am a giver, I am not a doormat, but I am actually enabling my success. And that was very liberating, because for the first time I understood. But what it didn't answer was, why am I that way? Because I sat on the board with all these other people and they didn't feel the need to do anything, right? They didn't feel the need to do anything. So why am I constantly feeling like I'm the one in the room that needs to do? I get it, Go-Giver, it's good for me, it's making me successful, but why am I the only one it feels like when I get into these rooms? So then I saw the Working Genius and I was like, I figured it out. I figured it out. And it came to Pat Lencioni the same way. He was in a role that he should have been succeeding in, that he was supposed to love, and one of his team members, he kept picking stuff apart, and the team member said, why are you the way that you are? And it was that simple question that kicked off all of this. So you guys can go ahead and hit the slide and we'll see where we go from here. Yeah, I love this. I want you to go celebrate each other's geniuses. We're gonna start getting into those now. Pour into somebody and shine the light on their gifts. Then do something humbling and shine the light on your frustrations as a relief, which is a great segue from what I was just sharing, because I was frustrated that I was the way that I was and kept having the same results. So you guys can go ahead and scan through. I thought it was good. Let's go around the room just quickly. Who had like a really fun dream job as a kid? Go.
The Homestead Hotel in Spa was the doorman for 6 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Other dream jobs that you had? Yeah.
A nurse in the Air Force.
A nurse. Love it.
Oh,
Nice.
Love it. No one wanted to be a veterinarian. I feel like everyone won.
no. Oh, you meant like what were we dreaming?
Yeah, like when you were a kid.
I want to be a dentist.
A dentist.
I was like, what
Oh.
dream job did you have? I
Even
was like,
stranger.
I didn't have to get a dream job.
I mean, that sounds like a dream job to me with my skills. I love that.
Weatherman on TV.
A weatherman on TV.
Such a good man.
Yep.
You'd be really good at that.
Physics broke me though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raise your hand if the thought of being a weatherman on TV would make you like cringe. Yeah, so why, I mean, it's a cool looking job to me. Like, why does it make people cringe and it makes you excited? Why does being a dentist make you excited and it would make me cringe, right? I mean, so like, it's very basic at its, like, we all grew up wanting to do things. We get into high school, we get into college, we get into post-high school work, wherever we went, and we start really getting to know the tangibles of jobs, right? Because you actually start engaging in them, and then all of a sudden that's when you see people being like, I don't want to do that. Right? So I have a friend, I made her do her Working Genius this week. She's a WT. She's like a practicing pharmacist at the VA. It's what she's always wanted to do. She's fantastic at asking questions and she's really good at checklists. And she's one of the few people that I know that I was like, from the time I knew you, from the time you are today, like you've known your geniuses, you've worked your geniuses, right? And she's in the right seat. So it's funny to think back on what you wanted to do, what you ended up doing, and once you start becoming aware of the facets of the job, and I'm sure in real estate you realize some of the facets of the job are not at all what the facets of the job were that you actually took on, you start developing, what is this my dream job? You can go ahead and hit the next slide, thank you. So we're gonna learn about you. This is a huge team building tool, right? And I know a lot of us are on teams, we serve on teams, we lead teams, we want to lead teams. But today, I really want to leave you with an understanding of who you are. And then at the end, we'll kind of go through and talk about how you plug into a team so that you can be more successful in that team environment. So my first letter, did most of you have an assessment? Great. Let's go ahead and let's look at W, which will be our next slide. Sorry, this will be all of them. W-I-D-G-E-T. So we're going to start with the very basics. So you can keep going over to W. Fudge, man, I should have looked at these. Sorry. Let me describe a Working Genius first, because that would make a lot more sense. This is what I loved. It was very simple. Do you get energy from it? Are you joyful doing it? And are you naturally gifted at them? Like, are those things that like you resonate with? And I'm sure most of you have read your things, so we'll see if we think we've got it. 99% of the time, this is right. But you could be in that weirdo 1% where maybe we got some things wrong and we can talk about it. Go ahead and scroll across. So, wonder. I've listened to a lot of Pat's podcasts. So your descriptioning words may be a little different than here, but I tried to pull some nuggets on my slides that were a little bit different. So wonder is all about the ability to ponder and consider things to be contemplative about what's going on in the world. They can sit in ambiguity. I loved this phrase. They can sit in ambiguity and just ponder on it. This is a working frustration for me, so like my skin is crawling saying it out loud. Ashley Palmerito's like, I love this.
Always
This is
wondering.
me.
Make a decision. Do we have to keep thinking?
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Here's what I think is really important. If you have an organizational chart, I'll show you ours later. If you have a W, you better listen to them because they are the most misunderstood genius that we actually have.
Right?
Yeah.
She feels her.
Right? You are, because the process wants to push you along. You've got 5 steps below you ready to rock and roll, and no one has time for you to sit in ambiguity and hang out. We hate it. We hate it for all of you. We want you just to come on down the ladder. So this is really important. If you have these on your organization, you have to find them and you have to support them. You have to have them, right? And they are obsessed. And I've heard Ashley say this before. This is why when I heard this on the podcast, I was like, oh my gosh. She recognized, sorry to pick on you, Ashley, but I know yours. She's obsessed with unrealized potential in people and projects.
Love that.
I've heard you say, like, you're like, I'm just obsessed with finding, like, and I've heard you say this exact phrase, like, to the T, before you did Working Genius. So this is your wonder. How many of you in here have W as a working genius? Look around, guys. You need
Oh,
them.
and Mike too. Does that resonate with you, Mike?
Yeah.
It does. I love that.
Yeah, I have one on my team. We literally, it's our ISA. I was like, I don't know if you should be this or not, but you need to join our team.
Yeah.
If it's the wrong seat, we'll put you somewhere else later.
And
So I was like, we
Kevin
got to
is-
get a W in here.
Kevin is a W too.
Yeah, we didn't have any. Great, we're gonna go to the I's. You're gonna hear me start talking about I's differently because I am an I, and I'm now joyful about this, whereas that made my skin crawl. And this is why I'm not a trained facilitator. This is my interpretation of it. It's a buffet. Please take what you need to take, leave what you don't, okay? This is a person who says that it's a worthwhile problem, let me try to solve it, right? They just love to come up with new ideas. Tina. They prefer clean slates, which is completely true. They really want to innovate from scratch. I say this all the time. I love a sinking ship. You show me something going down and I'm like a moth to the flame. Like I am going to go over there. I'm going to resurrect it all by myself. It's like the History Museum literally was a sinking ship. But if I have my option, give me the clean workspace with nothing to deal with. I'll go and build it from something broken, but we would much prefer to have it from scratch. Here's an example. Ashley would ask, why do meetings suck? She's the W, right? She's asking the question, why do meetings suck? An inventor wants to use their energy and efforts to make it more streamlined, right? And we're self-obsessed because we are most often recognized as geniuses. So this is the person that you would say, oh, you're a genius. You keep coming up with these ideas. Tina's a genius. I've said it 10,000 times. But we recognize this trait in others faster than any of the other geniuses. So you do have to be very cautious if you are one of these because you're naturally going to be louder. People are naturally going to listen to you more because you have ideas. So we actually have to be more guarded with our eyes. But as you can tell, I'm an I. Moving on to D, which is our discernment. People here have great gut instincts. Who's a D? Sorry, who's an I in the room? I didn't even ask. That's it? Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
Middle.
Okay, who are D's? Let me ask while I have you. Okay, great. People have great gut instincts and great intuition. They can evaluate and decide if it's good or not. They see patterns. I love that. They see patterns, right? They're in area, they would say something like, here are the areas that don't make sense to me. They would start asking that question, right? Here's what I really love though, is that they're curators of what's going on around them. So this is not to be confused with someone who just knows a lot about a topic, right? So like, you're not a discerner if someone asks you about crawl space mitigation and you've been in it for 10 years. I mean, it's not that you're an expert on the topic. A true discerner could go into an environment where they don't have a lot of context and still make very fast, gut-driven decisions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't disguise this as like, well, that person knows everything, so that's why they always, like, that's not discernment. Discernment is in an environment where you might not have all the answers, but you're still able to decipher yes or no. Does that make sense? And good trait for a realtor, so it's probably right that we have a lot in this room. Keep going. We're going to E's. Oh, G's, sorry, I can't spell. G's are your galvanizers. Who in here is a G? Great. You make excellent rah-rah people. So as we get the idea running down the wheel, The discerner has decided, yes, this looks good, we'll patch it through. The G now is the one that's gonna take that and they're gonna go with it. And it's really important that they get the process into action, right? So if the G's don't engage fast enough or they engage too quickly, you can have a lot of friction on your team, right? Because of the role that they serve. They don't mind, I love this too, they don't mind persuading people to rethink or change their plans in order to re-embark on something worthwhile. So this isn't necessarily that you're just like, yep, we're all in agreement, we're going. You don't mind going after the straggler over here that's swimming off to the shore when the boat's left 20 minutes ago. You're the one that will get off and you'll go get them and you'll bring them back because it's your job to change that path and change that behavior, right? I am a G working competency. I can take it or leave it, that's right. I can take it or leave it. Great, moving on to E this time. So a lot of times this gets written, and you'll know I spoke about it earlier, that some people here in this enablement category get, kind of written off as a pushover. And this is a genius that's not recognized well at all. But these are your helpers. Tina has the best analogy for this. This is like when the church has decided they're going to do the bake sale. The 50 women came together and said that it was a good idea. Someone rallied the troops, and now these are the people that say, what do you need me to do? Do you need me to set up? Do you need me to open the church? Do you need me to bake the cookies? Do you need me to clean up? These are your worker bees. How many of you in here are E's? Yeah. How many too? Mm-hmm. How many too? You are naturally inclined to help others. And this is where I couldn't understand who I was, because it's like, especially in a world that we live in with a lot of like self-care, profit first, all this thing of like you, I still kept going back to this. No, I'll do it. It's fine. I'll do it for them first. I'll do it for them first. I'll do it for them. It's because it's innate into who I am. Mm-hmm. That was very liberating to find. It's not that you can do it, it's that you're naturally inclined to. Everyone in here is a helper. I'm not saying if you're not an E, you're a bad helper. I'm just saying the E's, it's a whole new level of just innate nature to go get it done. So another thing too is we can often anticipate what someone needs before they even ask. How many times, E's, do you feel like that happens to you? What? Mm-hmm. I can anticipate the need before they ask for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which people love and hate.
D makes me go, come on, what do you need? What do you need?
All right, and then T's. How many T's do we have in here? We'll go ahead and scale over. Okay, T's are your finishers. Again, this is important. Your T's don't need, your galvanizer can get everyone across the finish line. That's all fine and good. Your T's didn't need the galvanizer to get there, right? They were gonna go no matter what. If they see a ball on the 2-yard line, they would rather fall out and dive and get it across. I think about my border collie, right? Catching the ball. Like it's that just constant drive to go get it done. We have a T on our team, and I can see he just, if it's not finished and we start moving on, I can see him be like, no, back up. We didn't finish that thought. We got to finish that thought. He's building out this whole systems and processes thing on his own, and I keep asking if I can interject. He's like, no, you cannot. You cannot. I'll show it to you when I'm done with it, but you cannot get involved right now, and he knows his processes very well. I love this because as an I, probably as a W, maybe even as a DG, like when the luster falls off of something, these are the people that are still attracted to it. Right? So I think, again, this is one of those, this is a working frustration for me. So I really think a lot of y'all that do this, my husband and I both have this as a working frustration, which is why we can't get bills paid or do things that are task-driven oriented. We can't do it, right? We cannot do it. So anyone have any questions that either Tina or I could answer on any of those letters? We're gonna talk about the pairings next, which I think is really helpful, but anything that you're like, that was a glaring question that I have at this point, because I don't wanna go too further in without a baseline. It's pretty simple stuff. That's what's novel about it. It's not that complicated, which is why it seems like it's just been staring us in the face for a while.
Well, I think for me too, like what I really discovered from it was, all of us do all of these things. We all have tenacity work. We all have galvanizing work. We all have all those things. But it's like when you have a role and you see yourself going towards these tasks in the role versus these, that was the clarity for me. It's like, yeah, I've done tenacity work my whole life. Right? But I don't enjoy that, no. But I'll do it and I'll do it well and we'll finish the thing that we need to finish. But I just want to go be in the room with those people doing the ideas and telling them if they are good or bad. Right. That's it. I just want to go do that and follow my gut, and that's it. And the organization will thrive when you're in those places. That's the team working together. And I won't be a sourpuss. And I won't be a sourpuss. That's right. I won't be a sourpuss. Yeah. So we're going to go through. These are the pairings. So it doesn't matter. In an organizational chart, we like to rank them if you're ones and you're twos. Because if we had the option to keep you in your one more than your two, then we would obviously want to do it, right? But for today,
just know if you're gonna see WI first, know that if you're an IW, still applies. It doesn't have to be in an order. Does that make sense? So we'll go to the first pairing. I hope that these sentences do for you what they did for me, because I just felt like someone for the first time in my life got me. It's very freeing. So who are WI? Who is that pairing other than Ashley? The only one? Ashley. Just Ashley. She is a passionate idealist with an endless stream of big questions and ideas to consider, comfortable with their head in the clouds. Sounds like me, doesn't it? It does. Everybody does. I'm telling you, I read these sentences and I was like, yes, this is really good. It's really good. Okay, we'll keep going. Any WDs? All right. A thoughtful, insightful, and nuanced advisor, slow to declare certainty, but deep in wisdom, intuition, and rationale. True.
True.
My hope for the next few minutes is that everyone's like, right? Because now we're just building credibility before we actually plug it into a system. Great, keep going into our WGs. Who is a WG? Maybe someone on Zoom is. An excitable, curious, and enthusiastic proponent of ideas and people, a unique combination of eagerness and caution. Was Michelle this, I think?
Michelle was a
No, she had D.
she had D. She was a
That's
GD.
That was another funny one to see her light bulb go off.
She was a GD.
What?
Gosh darn.
All right, any
Awesome person.
WEs in the room? We just don't have a lot of W's is the problem with this fair. Or EW, no. A loyal, modest, and thoughtful contributor, carefully considers others' needs and reluctant to demand attention. In case of Zoom, you've got any WEs on our Zoom today. And then our WTs, this is a strange combination to me. It seems very strange to me that someone would live here. My best friend growing up is this. It's the pharmacist I was talking about. And I knew she was going to be, because she would ask anyone a question, and she loves the clarity of a checklist system. So a thorough, practical, and careful contributor, a unique combination of steady reliability and quiet depth. Oh, it's you!
That's right. Oh, you're a WT.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Does that sound right? She's like, so him.
Steady reliability,
weird.
quiet depth.
So
Quiet depth. We like that.
So he brings out one of his zingers that makes everyone.
That's right. That's right. I love that.
All right, so we'll move into the I's. Any IDs other than Tina? Tina's an ID. She is a creative, intuitive, and confident generator of new ideas, uses instinct and integrative thinking to solve real problems.
Put me there. I thought I liked people, but I actually like fixing them.
And that's
Sending
good
them
to
on
know.
their way. I don't want to galvanize them after.
No,
Go,
you need to
go,
do
go
after
do
that.
your
That's
life.
what you do, yeah.
I gave you the answer. Go
Any,
away now.
any IG, and this would be GI as well, ID or GI, any IGs or GIs in the room?
GI, it sounds like a medical practice.
Excited, right? An excitable and convincing generator and promoter of new ideas, combines curiosity and confidence with infectious enthusiasm. So you see these adjectives that they're using, right? You could literally probably break the sentence down and figure out where it comes from, right? But it's just such thoughtful choices. It made me feel so reassured. Tis read mine, which is this one.
Read mine.
It's read mine. I'm obsessed with myself. A unique combination of creativity and flexibility generates new ideas in response to the needs of others. And when I read it, I was like, that's it. That's it. That's why I love sinking ships, because I see the ship going down. I'm like, no. I'll come up with an idea. I'll help you out at the boat. And no matter what, I'm going to keep going to that every single time. Doesn't matter what other opportunities may be there for me to take. That's the one I'm going to just go to. Any other IEs in the room?
Just as you.
We're about to get more into these ETs. I think some hands are going to start going up. An I or T or an I.
Oh, that's great.
A precise, reliable, and planful solver of problems, a unique combination of innovative thinking and practical implementation. Doesn't it make you feel so good? So good.
Is that so well with you?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're screwed. Yeah.
Precise would be a good word.
And this is where, like what Tina was saying,
And
is like some
reliable.
of this is hard, like, because so much of this is like, it's actually, you're doing things so subconsciously. So you've got to really spend some time thinking about, well, how do I do things? I think that the test pulls the questions out so that it gets you there. What you may not realize is that it actually is more correct than you're probably giving it credit for, which is why they say it's a very low percentage of people.
But you
that
just
get it right.
have
this just happened because you had an idea to come up with that box and then you implemented it and you followed through with it. So you come up with ideas and then you follow through.
Yes.
I come up with ideas and they sit
And
there.
do nothing.
Yeah, that's the exact, I mean, that's
But
perfect.
she's very important, guys. I just want to be sure we know. That W is very important.
Very important.
And well, I just feel bad because it says it's overlooked, and I don't want you to be overlooked, and you'll know why I don't want you to be overlooked when I show you my couple of slides. Anyways, it's all interconnected. All right, a DG. A DG. Two DGs.
We have 2 DGs?
An instinctive and confident decision maker, able to assess situations quickly and accurately and marshal people to act. So you guys are right in the middle of a process, right? You're the marchers that get it from someone's brain to paper. You're like, because you're next door to each other, literally you serve both of those roles. Cool. Any DEs or EDs? Okay, now we got some. An intuitive, empathetic advisor and team player, selfless and compassionate in providing others with what they need in the right way.
That's so you.
It's like therapy today, guys. We're really just giving out all the positive affirmations. All right, keep moving. A DT or TD. All right, a reliable, prudent, and focused doer, a unique combination of practical urgency and intuitive judgment. Oh, that was a good one. G's and E's together. Okay, we got some. A warm and positive affirmer of others, quickly willing to support and inspire people who need energy or reassurance. Did we get it right?
That's not me. No, that's Mackenzie.
Totally.
Mackenzie loves you. Mine is.
And you.
Every time Mackenzie and I take personality tests, it's the same.
I know.
They literally are the same person.
I know.
And I will share though, because I am.
We're in the same color too.
Yeah.
I'm not Irish.
I had the same lineup as a friend of mine from South Carolina who came with us to San Diego, and I will tell you, personality-wise, like we there's a lot of things we don't match on, so it's really fun. This is where I think that I see the use in it, is because yes, we may be moved by the same things in these kind of process-driven environments, but then like resting, right, which you pick up more on your disc and your Enneagrams and things like that, we don't have, I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't be matching up in a lot of different places. So I love this because this is very much what you're in every single day. A GT. Yeah. A taskmaster extraordinaire, willing to push and remind others and to dive in themselves to ensure things get done. I have one of these on my team.
I thought that would be Jerry.
I thought that was Ladondria. Didn't we just do, where's Ladondria? She left. She's a, oh, that's right.
Yes.
She's a GD.
She's a GD.
She's a GD.
She's an ED.
I have them. Okay, keep going.
All right. And then our ETs or our TEs. That's got to be a lot of you. TEs? Okay. A responsive, dependable doer, willing to step up when something is needed and determined to fulfill their commitments.
Amen.
Did I miss anyone's combination? I shouldn't have.
Like,
I double checked them. I love how they put these together. I love these sentences. I put it somewhere that you see it every day. Remind yourself this is who you are, and go find the opportunities to go work in these places. This is my next favorite exercise. So take your top letter down. So raise your hand again if you're W's. Okay, look around the room, W's, if you're top W, okay. I's, raise your hand if you're top I's. Top I's. Top D's. Look around the room, just start noticing each other. Top E's, or sorry, G's, top G's.
I don't know if it's G or.
It's whatever came first. It is. Either way, they're gonna both resonate, but I like to do the first one. Where are our E's and our T's?
Laura, you're an E first.
I don't know which one.
What's on top?
D. I'm a D.
Both of these are gonna sit well with you. I actually tell you that my second one actually grinds my gears a little bit more than my first. But so essentially, we're gonna give you a phrase of something that you would absolutely crave in your working genius, and something that you would be crushed by. So these are craves and crush. Does that make sense? Craves and crush. So if you are wonder, you crave consideration, and you are crushed by the jerk that tells you who cares. That seem right, Debbie?
Who cares, Ashley? It's fine.
Who cares?
Stop asking questions.
Yeah. Consideration
Sorry.
and who cares. let's roll over to I. And I is gonna crave freedom and absolutely be crushed by restraint. Constraint, restraint, either way.
Tina, is that you? Are you I is for top?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that. Same good.
Discernment, craves trust, crushed by that phrase, prove it. Where are our D's? How many of it, like, was this right?
Yeah,
The trust
super
part,
accurate.
yeah.
Because they're saying, it's my gut, I can't tell you why I know, but I just know.
Like, just trust it.
Just trust
And they're
it,
like,
right.
no, you're crazy, and I'm like, no, I'm not.
But if they go, how did you get there? How did you get that formula? How did you get that? I don't know, I just said the gut feeling.
I had
I
a
just
boss that
know.
would say
I
those
just
two
know.
words, and now I know why it
What,
did
prove it?
literally crush me,
They
yeah.
would say,
Yeah.
prove it,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was awesome.
Your genius isn't requiring you to prove it.
right.
Well, it's frustrating too if you have this genius when somebody says prove it, when you're trying to explain, like you're trying to make it make sense to someone else, when in your head it just clicks.
makes sense.
It just makes
Right,
sense.
because you're going off of an intuition.
Yeah, and
Right.
then you just get frustrated with, for me, I get frustrated with myself when I'm trying to get somebody to understand it from my view. I'm like, I don't know why, it just is.
I just see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I was always right. either.
Right.
That's very
It doesn't say anything about knowing that you're right.
Yeah,
It just says that
Right.
you have a gut instinct.
Yes, and that was the point, like, I don't even know if I'm right, I just feel like this is
This is the
the right
feeling,
path.
right.
So proving something that I don't even quite understand was like, you know, it was a
Am I
heavy
crazy?
weight, yeah, you really felt it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Makes
it was
sense.
part of my job, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and that was why it crushed me for 4 years.
And that's why organizations are unhappy. I mean, we have, like, it's prevalent throughout the entire country. We've got big organizations that have a lot of unhappiness because of structures, and I really do, I mean, I think this is easy.
Me too.
All right, go on to G. So galvanizers, this really, my husband is one of these, and so I really had to check myself on this one because you crave reaction and you are crushed by apathy. And I'm the worst, is my husband will like have this thing, like trying to rah-rah, and I'm like, whatever. Whatever, I'm busy making up ideas. I don't have time to listen to you. Galvanize me right now. And so this one was the one where I was like, okay, I have to, and this is important because again, if you're working with someone that fits into this box, you need to be able to, again, let's highlight our deficiencies, right? And then let's go and let's give them some grace. That's the whole point of this model. It's like, I know if the galvanizer, like my operations director is a galvanizer, and she'll send me, and she's a T too. It's really awful, really, for me and my personality type, but it's great for the organization. But she'll send me all these things, like for our Easter egg hunt, all these like catering order options. And my reply was, whatever. Like, I'm not lying, that's what I typed. Whatever you think. So I had to come back from, like, when we went over this in San Diego, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I've been very apathetic to all the work you've been doing, and I'm really sorry. Because I really, truly don't care, but I know that you do.
I know that you do.
Yeah.
As a galvanizer, I think outwardly looking at it, that somebody could think that a galvanizer always wants a positive reaction. I mean, everyone likes positive reaction.
You just want a reaction.
But a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we just want to
Yeah.
feel like it's
Anything.
landed. Like, did the message that we said land
Yeah,
at
that's a
all?
great point.
Like, even if it's
Good or
negative,
bad.
it's still a reaction.
I didn't even think of it that way, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
that makes me feel better too, because I'm like, I don't necessarily want to, it's not always positive,
Good,
and I'm
right.
okay with that, I just need some kind of feedback.
Tell me something.
Mhm.
Which is
Makes
why
sense.
when you're talking in the meetings,
Yes.
and no one responds, you're like, okay.
And I call the entire sales meeting out and I'm like, did no one just hear what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Did no
Does
one
anybody like this
that?
idea?
Anyone
Right.
like that?
Yeah, and that's because you crave the reaction, whether it's you were terrible or this was the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I don't
You
care,
crave
just
it.
tell me which one.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, moving on to E's. Who are E's in here? This is where I was like, maybe my I's and my E's are switched because the restraint thing, I might could get past this, I can't. Craves appreciation. Remember when I said they were going to build a shrine to me at the History Museum? Crushed by being overlooked. I mean, it's true. I literally am like in my household. I tell my son this all the time. I was like, I don't need you to do anything else. I just need you to literally stand there and be like, look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I don't need you to download it. I would rather you not, because you're going to do it wrong. I have a better idea about how it should be done. But I want you to recognize and appreciate me. And this is a really big deal, guys, because this is why, I mean, an appreciation, anytime you have an organization with a lot of E's, which our organization is very E heavy, and it's an overlooked genius already, right? Because we don't see it as one. So you've got to be really cognizant of this genius, making sure that you're telling that genius that you see their genius in play. Or else they'll turn into me and want to try and build to themselves somewhere. So this one was, that felt really good to me. Tenacity, who's a T? So you crave clarity and you're crushed by ambiguity. Which is where Ashley wants to live, which then takes us right back up to the top. So maybe this is more circular than we thought it was. But yeah, I mean, I actually, so this is one of my working frustrations. So I think the other thing you can do with this exercise is you can actually go through, and I can almost flip these. I actually love ambiguity. I love it. It leaves me wide open to do whatever I decide I want to go to next. So here's a problem in real estate, right? I go to a listing presentation, I freaking crush it. I crush it. I tell them all these things. And then I walk out the door, and like 2 days later, they're like, where's that girl? I don't know, she's gone. I've moved on to whatever's else. Now I've created all these things that need these sub checklists that need to go back to the seller and to be completed. And so I've just learned, like, I'm at that point, like, I'm good as gone. Like, peace out. I'm out. Right? And then I know our E's and T's are going to be excellent support people in those roles for those listings because I'm not going to do it. Right?
I'm bored.
I love the ambiguity. I don't know. Maybe we could go to market in 2 weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, whatever.
Could be great.
We can work in a variety of ways.
Just watch and see how you position in the market best.
Oh, I'm tracking right there.
And then Katie goes into an appointment. Is like, when are we going on? Is it next week? Is it the next week? Is it a Tuesday? Is it a Thursday? And I hate it.
I just
have
my calendar.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I would rather die.
flexible.
I want to walk out with them being like, yeah, whatever you want to do, girl, do it with me.
We'll play it by ear was my best line. We'll play it by ear.
I mean that, and so I started recognizing. I was like, I have 9 or 10 pipeline listings that don't have any plan connected to them, and the next thing I'm going to see is somebody else's faces on that side. I'm like, why did that happen? Well, it's because I didn't get the process, didn't keep rolling, it stopped. So from just an individual agent working within a team setting, like this is a place where, like, if you know that this is where you struggle or you're really good at it, like find someone, get some systems, like figure it out, because you're leaving stuff on the table when you stop.
The best thing was, Mackenzie, do you remember when you were in the listing role and I would come and have a little Post-it note with an address and a name? I got a listing.
Actually, it was either an address or a name.
Oh.
I never got both.
I got a listing, here's what they need. Have a great life. Bye. I got 10 more to go get. Okay, bye.
That sounds like Sherry's Tuesdays.
Yeah. She's got a bunch of those paperwork.
So when you go through these, you can really start to figure out too, like, you know, if you've got a working frustration, you may actually like what someone else is crushed by. So again, in that team environment, you've got to be careful. This is a really cool concept too, that I think you really have to understand, because now we're going to start moving into, we all work on teams, whether you're an individual agent, work on a team, admin staff for a team, have a spouse, have kids, have a friend group, whatever it may be, you are working on projects with people in every single day of your life, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what we have to remember is that the three working geniuses that are disruptive, I mean, they actually can create and start new processes, right? Are those top 3, the wonder, the invention, and discernment. Your bottom 3 are more responsive, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. What we're going to see in a second when we put this widget going down the right way is that you've got to know where the disruptives start and the responsives begin. This is what we're going to talk about with going back and forth and jumping letters and what happens to a creative process when that goes on. But this is really important to remember that, you know, if you're an I and you're talking to an E, you were coming from a place of disrupting something. They're now coming from a place of responding to that disruption and trying to normalize it. So this is a really important piece to me when you start talking about moving a process down the line. So just be aware. It's hard for some of us, and I'm going to tell you why my hot mess existed, is because I'm both disruptive and responsive. How many of you are in that category?
Yeah, I was like, okay, then what?
You got to be pretty self-aware of it, because I'm going to tell you what happened to my organization. Go ahead and scroll to the next slide. Hopefully this will be the one that I want to see. It is. This is ours. This is our board. So before we had all these lovely people, it was just me and Katie. And I'm an I working genius, and Katie's an I working frustration. Number one and number one. It's her most least favorite thing. It's my most favorite thing. All right? Great. All right. Great. Great. My second working genius, she had D. Thank God. She had some D, actually. She's 2 on discernment. I'm then number 2, E. Our geniuses are on top. Our frustrations are on the bottom, right? And then you can see, look how unaligned we are on our T. Katie's 1 is a T, my 1 frustration's a T. So my most favorite thing was her least favorite thing. My least favorite thing was her most favorite thing. It seems like that should actually balance it out and work well, doesn't it? It doesn't work well. Doesn't work well. So here's what I did to Katie and then the agents that we started to pull in that we had no idea what their working geniuses were. Thank God they were E's and T's or else I would have really had a problem. But I would go off somewhere like San Diego last year and I came back with 90 million ideas, right? But I didn't know that this was Katie's genius. I didn't know that this needed to exist. I certainly didn't know this needed to exist. I'm a pretty positive person. People like me. They'll listen to me. So I would go from here to here. And then nothing would work. Nothing. They would get whiplash because I'm literally like, here's the system, but I'm a helper, right? So I'm gonna immediately go and like hands-on, like put follow-up bots on their computer for them. Literally, hand me your computer. How many of you are E's that like you can't stand to watch someone do something on their own computer? Like, just give me your computer and I'll do it for you, right? Because it's not even that we wanna help them or guide them. It's like we literally wanna just like help do it, right? So I would come back and I was just like, we're gonna do all these things, we're gonna do all these things. And I missed that middle step. And like our agents are like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what is this girl doing? Because we didn't have any discernment and no one was rallying anyone around the ideas except for me. And what I got was, I'm an implementer, right? And I am, and I'm proud of it, but I would strut around being like, I implement things. They were all crappy first drafts. Shitty first drafts. They were all bad. Yeah. But I was like, I implemented, right? And so this is where when we started to realize this, again, the only reason that the team members' names are still on that board, we have some more that we've added since then, is because they were E's and T's. And thank God they were not D, like we didn't have a ton of those D's and G's at the time that were like, what the fudge are you doing? Then I wouldn't have known. Then I would have thought they were attacking my ideas. Well, you go get your own ideas, right? I mean, I can hear the narrative in my head. So we had a mess. So when we really sat down and went through our core values, started our EOS implementation, we went to this. This sits in our office. Obviously, we have a couple names added since this picture was taken because we're growing quickly. But you can see we got a lot of these E's and T's. Our E's and T's make excellent mentors. They're fantastic mentors. I make a terrible mentor. I'm not taking another one. I'm garbage with them. Because what I do to them, poor things, I sit there and I give them all these ideas and then I grab their computer and try to do it for them. But then when they need to finish something, I'm like, I'm not interested in you. I'm a terrible mentor. I had a girl reach out the other day, I was like, no. But like, I mean, now I know that about myself. But you know what I thought a year ago? I'm a great mentor. Someone would be real lucky to have me. No, I'm not. And it's fine. And it's very refreshing to know why I suck at it. Because a brand new agent wants someone to sit there and go through the checkbox. They want the systems. And I'm like, there is no system. What are you talking about? You want all these systems. They don't exist. Well, they do. I just don't want to live in them. I don't want to live in them, right? Scroll and see what's next. This will be fun. So this is big blocky. I'll make sure that you guys have this, but this talks about what happens when you don't have these specific geniuses. And there's some really cool things that you can pull out. I think I gave Wonder their street cred for sure about, you know, how much like we need that wonder. Same thing with the eyes, right? I mean, this like we can burn out really fast because we feel like the train's not moving down the track. So yes, you recognize our genius, but know that it is also a frustrating place to be when you have all these things that you know are going to be at the cusp of greatness and you can't move them down the line. That's very frustrating. Discernment, they often get tagged as the people that don't want to do something, right? They get tagged in this world of like, you're trying to stop the progress. That's kind of the perception there. So really making sure that you're looking at it not in that way, but understanding that it's a genius, not a deficiency, right? It's a genius, not a deficiency. That's the whole point of this. But they will oftentimes come back to that W and I and say, well, you brought me this and I'm looking at it and it's not working. And so some fault, like that fault can be placed back up that line. And again, the whole purpose of this line, as you just saw, was to move your process down that list of letters. You scroll on over, I think this is the last slide, just on E and T, and then we'll just kind of discuss a little bit. Sorry, G, E, and T. Again, the galvanizers are so key because this is that transition piece between the disruptive to the actual responsive, right? You guys are critical in getting that off of one wheel and onto the other. If you don't have that enabled, you got to have more E's and T's than you do W and I's, guys. You have to. The organization won't work otherwise. Think about it. If you've got 10 people shooting out ideas and 2 people to go implement them, it's not going to work. So you got to have the E's and T's, but you have to make sure with those E's and those T's that you recognize those geniuses and it doesn't just go, well, she's just good at that because she doesn't come up with good ideas. which is my mindset, right? I would think that about Katie. I'd be like, well, she doesn't want to have to come up with the big idea. No, she just don't want to.
Right.
It was just so liberating for us as an organization to understand. So now, for an example on how we apply this is, our Slack channels have a WI group, we have a DG group, and we have an ET group. And when I have an idea, the first place it goes is to my DG Slack channel, and I say, here you go, take it apart, enjoy. Let me know when you're done.
So I'm just curious, as a wonder, if you have a teammate that comes to you that wonder is it frustration or just not something they want to do, but they're an enabler and or they're a galvanizer, so they kind of see, is it harder for you to listen to them when they have an idea, or to say, oh, that's just my enabler or my galvanizer with an idea? Or do you just come, because even though it could be a frustration for somebody, if they see something, right, and they feel that they can say, so I'm just curious, as a wonder, who comes up with the ideas and loves that, how you would, if that changes anything.
Where in the process. I guess I feel like the wonder questions are usually like there's something established and then we're starting to pick it apart. I guess I feel like I don't think I have anyone that's that WD combination, so I may not know what it feels like.
No, I just meant more for somebody who's, a lot of people who are enablers, if I was talking to people, to the wonder is a frustration.
Oh, it's a frustration.
So it's just like, but when somebody comes, that's a frustration for you, when it's a genius, and they're on your team, they're just like, oh, that's a good idea, but she's just, he or she's just, is it easier, do you listen to that idea as equally as you will listen to somebody else that's your genius, I guess is my question.
I don't know. That's a good question though.
She's apathetic about it.
I'm apathetic. I hear you trying to galvanize me around your question, but I don't care. It's so bad. It's really taking over my life. No, the thing is that I didn't notice it. We hired a guy to be our ISA. He comes from AdWorks as a background. Like, he's been on the phones. He's very good. And so, like, we didn't hire on this, and I know about it when we hired him, So, or I did, but I knew about it, but we hadn't implemented it whenever he started to talk with us. So when he decided to come on, I was like, oh shoot, my new thing was I was gonna make people do this before we actually hired, right? That makes sense. Let's get it earlier in the process than later. But anyways, so he takes it, and finally I was like, oh my gosh, we have our W. But now I hear him asking questions, and my ear starts to perk, because I'm like, this is it, buddy. You're all I've got. Like, if I don't listen to you, I'm screwed, because there's no one else in this room that's gonna ask any of those questions. And so, yes, I think, to start with, he was asking a lot of questions, because I thought he was just onboarding into Follow-Up Boss, and he didn't understand it, and like, whatever, because he's also, I think, at E or T's down there. And literally, it was like, all of a sudden, I was like, no, this guy's asking some legitimate questions. Let's tune into this. So I don't know if it's just that changing of that mindset where, like, I know that's a genius of his. So I have to trust that his questions are going to be thoughtful and good, because it's his genius. It's not someone jumping out of genius to go try to ask questions. Right. So I think that it helps you filter, I think, some of what you go to and what you listen to and what you try to discern from. Oh, sorry.
So I was having a conversation with Tina yesterday. Is discerning is my top one, and for a long time I had this guilt of feeling like I was poking holes or I was being negative. But it never came from a place of negativity. I was like, okay, just explain it to me. Let me get the inside so I can understand. So this has been the one piece that now I don't worry about, like, okay, this isn't negative. This is me saying, hey, I see something. I see a hole or I see a gap. So it is interesting once you know your working genius to kind of look at things and say, did I not speak up or speak up about different things before? But as a discerner, it can come off really negative sometimes for somebody who doesn't know. It's like, why are you always poking holes? And it's like, I'm not. I see something.
That was some of my friction with my previous director of operations, is I just thought I had an idea, and then she just had an answer for it, and I was like, well, you come up with an idea then. You do, like, we take it negatively, because, and especially me, because my next step was E, right? At least Tina, like, at least you can walk down. Like, I skipped 2 whole steps. So it really was frustrating to me, right? To feel like there were 2 pieces missing. But it was the 2 pieces missing that was causing us to not move as quickly as we should have last year. I can see it in our production numbers. I mean, I can literally qualify it. Like, I can see it in our production numbers.
I think it's funny, like my mom, I've given my family all these tests now, because I'm like, this is so cool. I know why my parents divorced now. I'm like, cool, if you had all your tests, you guys would understand each other more. But But like my mother, everyone in the family always, oh, it's Domenica, she thinks she knows everything. Because they bring her problems and she solves them. And it's like, they almost don't want to bring her problems because then her head gets really big because she usually has that gut feeling. And they're like, you think you know everything, Domenica. And it's like, no, that's just her natural tendency that unfortunately she passed down to me. And it's like, you know, or Kevin will bring an idea, but I think that's huge. And then we've talked about like going from, you know, Mackenzie and I going from me being in an idea phase with her, like, I have all these ideas. She's like, let's go do them. And then while she's doing them, I'm discerning them going, oh yeah, I missed that, I missed that, I missed that. Oh man, we should have slowed down because now the shitty first draft and we want to go back. And it's like, I just want to move forward. I want to go back. Let's start over.
Yep.
And it is frustrating when you're, you know,
It is.
and then it's like you feel negative, like I'm picking it apart. I'm like, oh, but I missed it. I needed to actually slow down.
Yeah.
I noticed that now and I go, no, let's slow down. Let's get the message right and then go. So it's helpful to see
So I think
in an organization.
Yeah, and I think that first quote that he had where it's, you know, it should be nice to work in your geniuses, but it should be equally as comforting to know your deficiencies and to shine light on them. And that's what I've been able to do. It's like, I literally, again, and I keep making the mistake over and over again because I'm human, right? And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna punch out these new team agreements. It's fine, no one needs to read them. You know how many times my team signed them? 3 times. They signed them 3 times because I was like, no, it's fine, I'll do them real fast. And then I'll just send them out. You know what Katie did with love?
Right.
She took a red pen to it and was like, I love this. Why didn't you let me do this? And I'm like, fudge, man, I'm literally teaching a class on this next week and I'm literally still living in this place where it's just, it's new, right? And we're learning it. But knowing the deficiencies is incredible. To me, it was just as comforting as figuring out my strengths. I'm like you. If I got to get it done, I'll get it done. But if I have to live there, I won't be in this business long.
And you said you have like a Slack channel now where you put things into like the people that are the discerners.
Yeah.
And you give them the opportunity and she's like, and they love it.
They do, yeah. I mean, we did a new website launch, like before it went live, they got the access to it to say, well, I didn't like how this looked, or this didn't work for me, or I did like how this worked, this seemed to work really well, how can we improve upon it, going positive and negative. You can tell I'm not a D, because I'm making you all sound like you're pick-aparters still, and I don't mean to, but that's why I said this is a buffet, take what you need to take and leave what you don't, because I'm not a certified trainer on this, but that's my outlet. That's how I know that a system is going down the line, is I can literally see who has it when they have it. And again, I mean, for those of you that are on a team or your team leaders, but a lot of people, well, why would your agents want to contribute? Because they're working in their genius, right? It gives them an opportunity to go in there and really put time into what they love doing. And so if I can provide that, we define fun as one of our core values. And for us, we define it as the use of your abilities, right? Like literally being able to utilize your abilities is fun to us. That's what we have defined as an organization as a core value. So I don't feel bad when I'm like, hey, Katie, can you edit our team agreement? Yes, maybe in another world, right, before we had this, that's something I would have had to send the director of operations or someone else to look at. But it's her genius, and she got a red pen out with the most glee of anyone I've ever seen and just hit it.
I send him all of our contracts. So he's like, I'll go through that.
I love it.
See, and I would rather poke my eyeballs out.
Skim, here.
Bye.
Yeah.
Brandon, can you look at this and just start it for me? He's like, well, the key takeaways, and I'm like, thanks, that was awesome.
Yeah, but that's where the subconscious brain has to slow down to speed up, right? I have to say, yes, I can just send this out and I can get it done, and maybe that makes it faster and easier because that's how my brain works. But ultimately, I have people that are not being able to utilize their talents and their abilities in our organization if I don't bring it to them. So that's been a big shift for us, and it's definitely built a lot of, I think, camaraderie. If y'all are on the call and you're all typing in the chat, she's full of crap. I hope you're not. I feel like we have a very strong team environment because we know, and we walk in and out the door every single day, and all we see is that board with everyone's geniuses. So, you know, we did our goal setting for Q2, and we sat there and I was like, okay, like for those of you that have built some goals that may live somewhere in this world, here are your people, right? Just know who your people are to go and get that encouragement from, or get those checklists from, or get the ideas from, and go tap the geniuses, because that's where I think we're so happy. And that's what, I mean, that's my passion, is that everyone's happy at work, because I don't have a delineation between work and personal.
I think the big thing too, to me, my biggest takeaway really is just finding the area where each person finds value and will feel valued.
Yes.
And so if you can do that, I think just as a team owner, then it helps make a happy home for everybody.
Happy home. That's it. a happy home. It's so simple, but it's so empowering. And I hope you feel like you understand yourself better. You understand how you fit into any process that you come across. Oh, here it was. Man, I did put them in. Perhaps the most immediate benefit of the working genius model is how it allows us to overcome the fundamental attribution error. How can we replace judgment and toxicity on our teams with understanding and grace? Was it? Yeah. So Heart Working Genius, read the book. He's got a podcast. Tell it to your friends. Make your spouses, your friends, your
Children.
just anyone you're around. Just do it. Patrick Lencioni talks about how he wished he could have done it with his dad, right?
Well, I think
They
I
understood
did
each
it
other
with
better.
Michael going into college, and it's like, he's a GE, so he is a helper, he loves to rally people, he was the team captain, so it's like, now you see that and you go, oh my God, this makes sense, and he's got discernment as his third, so people like to, bring him their problems, but going into college, it's like, hey, go be like, would you want to be a camp counselor, Michael? He's like, that would be amazing. Now, if he wants to make more money, that's gonna be a problem, because his natural, to go be a coach and make 30 grand a year, 40 grand might not fit, so he might have to go into work that he doesn't enjoy as much if he wants to build a different life, but his true love will be the cheering on people and leading them. So it's just interesting, I think.
And that's it. And I think as entrepreneurs, I mean, again, we feel like our lives, y'all know this, like our personal and our business life are all just one ginormous blurb of whatever. So I think it's more important than ever for us to really know what these geniuses are, because work doesn't shut off for most of us.
Right.
Ever.
Right. Right.
Ever.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, but it's helpful, because even some of the tasks we've given him before, like checklist things or homework things, like he's just like checked out, so I love it.
I am. I'm obsessed with this. If you have if you're on Zoom or here, you have a team and you want me to come in and do this in office, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. The more I talk about it, the more accountable I am to it. So the more I talk about it, the better I'll be. Thanks, Tina, for letting me talk about it.
So good.
So good.
So good.
It was good.
What's your contact info?
I like the.
Anna at
She explained it so good, she should have done it in San Diego. So good, yeah. No, she doesn't get certified.
At apal.com.
APALrealestate.com.
We need to do that.
Anna at APAL. My T is not doing well right now. Anna at apalrealestate.com.
On the second page, you should do that, you should talk about that, you said you were gonna talk about techie stuff.
Yeah, well,
Because we need to talk about this too, and you deliver it way better than me, but I think that, I like your delivery of it. I feel like it was really good.
Thank you to everyone that's joined us on Zoom.
thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Guys, Zoom Nation.
If you were invited to this podcast, it feels like a podcast, this Zoom meeting, please make sure that you continue to ask questions. Feed them to me, Brandon at callteam.com. We love your input on future topics, and next week we'll have 3 more great topics to speak about next week, so please join us then. Take care, everyone.
That's great.